Oh, I forgot to take this down. Oh, yeah. Welcome out, y'all. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. Bringing you that boom bap breakfast in case you didn't know. Black Liberation Media is in the building. And yo, we got a whole bunch of hosts for you. And let me introduce you to them. First of all, let's talk about Geechee Yar, Erica King, Dr. Jared Paul. Yeah. You know about that soundtrack right there?
What I don't know about is the remix or whatever. Who looped that?
I did.
Oh wow! All right.
And Kamala K. Franklin.
What up?
Yo.
That Barney Miller joint, right?
That's Barney Miller. Yeah.
I remember Barney Miller.
Man, I used to love that show.
I bet.
My man Ron Glass with the afro.
True.
I'm trying to tell you, the single black character used to be a big deal back in the day. The one black person they let on the TV.
Yes, we could relate then. We was like, oh, we can watch it now.
Exactly.
Early propaganda. It was getting us. Early propaganda.
It was the Asian cop. What was the slow Asian cop?
Fred. Oh, I was about to say Fred Ho, but that's the wrong context. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
No,
I know he's real life, and then he got that accusation. But I'm just reading in the new Maroon book the tight relationship Maroon had with Fred. So I didn't mean that's where that popped in my head. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I don't want to be. But I forgot I know the dude's name because when he passed, it was kind of like a sad moment. He died, I think, during the show.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So like they had the little tribute or whatever, if I remember correctly, something like that.
You losing our youngsters over here, y'all.
My bad.
I might go through the whole cast because it keeps coming back to me, but I can't remember their names. The Polish one,
Jaworski.
Wow, y'all are taking it back.
What, Carter?
Who? Welcome back, Carter.
Yeah, I used to watch that.
Not as Barney.
No, it's Barney Miller.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't. Yeah, that was too boring for me.
They had a famous. Welcome Back, Carter was boring.
No, Barney Miller.
Barney Miller was not.
I mean, even his name is boring. Barney. My bad, all the Barneys out there. Geechee, y'all, how was your born day, man?
It wasn't. No, it was cool.
Damn.
I mean, I was picking cotton that night, with Kamala and the team.
So, word. What happened?
At night and morning.
Damn your birthday.
Yeah, work to do. Let me tell you what he kept doing, though. Let me tell you what he kept doing. So we was at a retreat.
Oh, Lord.
And anytime somebody wanted to go to the airport, he
That's
kept
a lie.
volunteering to take them to the fucking airport. It's like me. Nah, it's good.
That's not true.
You got to do that. We get Uber. Uber works. Wow. Every 5 seconds, he's like, I got to take a 2-hour lunch break because I got to go get my food and take somebody here and go there and go here and go there and go here. I'll be right back, though. I don't want to miss anything. Let me do that now. He kept on trying to slide that in there.
Now I had to take Yusuf to the airport. My boy.
Had to.
Shout out to Yusuf.
Had to.
Nobody has to take somebody to the airport. Like,
it was only right. When we were in Detroit, he took me to the airport, so I had to return the favor.
He sound like the cousins at Thanksgiving. You need something from the store? Yeah. I go get it.
A bad marriage.
Oh my God.
Let me go get the milk. I'll be right back.
I'll do that. Yeah. Oh, you need what you need. I'll go get everything. Like dog needs to be walked again.
I got you.
That man drank all my Guatemalan liquor too. He drank all my liquor.
Guatemalan liquor.
Jared is so helpful.
I feel like we're light one host today.
Well,
no.
It came a little late.
Curtis is
Computer
having
issues.
tech problems.
Curtis. Erica Keynes, what's good? How you been?
I've been good. I've been good.
What? You been good? That's it? No activism going on?
You said no activism going.
Tell us
You're
about
not,
your
you're not marching
activism.
for some reason. You're not holding the protest sign for no goddamn good reason. What's going
Saving
on?
the black.
What's wrong with your life?
Family.
Something black, something.
Yeah.
You're not doing something black today? I don't understand.
No, not today. There
Oh,
is
yes.
though at 9 o'clock. The APRP and
See?
some Batman Atlantic members are outside of the Cote d'Ivoire embassy protesting against their attempts to help destabilize the AES. So you can check that out if you're in the
Okay.
DC area. They're out there. They'll be starting at 9 a.m. pretty damn early, but that's where they'll be. So go out and support.
All right. And it's cold. All right. You ain't lying.
I know. What's going on with that weather, B? What you gonna do about that?
Hey, my daughter
What
said,
you gonna do about that?
my daughter said, what was it? What is that thing they call when the ozone layer start depleting?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. What
I
she
thought
said
you-
about it?
What's it
Yeah,
called?
Go socialist talk. Go ahead. Tell us. You tell
Global warming?
Global warming. There it is. That's what she said.
Mm.
She said global warming, pops. I was like, hey,
us.
these
Erica
corporations got to get money.
Erica got this chat jumping over there, man. She got the
Me?
chat jumping. Yeah, you.
I didn't say it. I didn't do it.
Just talking about come outside.
Basically, word. That's what basically what you're doing. That is true, B. Word.
Wow, yo, Erica got this chat. Wow,
You standing in front of a nigga house and be like, come outside. Bring it outside. Just come outside. You know?
We just want to talk.
Word.
Oh man, great conversation today, y'all. Hopefully, get this computer right. We'll get everything going over here.
True.
Yeah. So, anything else, y'all, before we get into it? It's a lot of y'all Negroes. You know, I'm out at 9.
You got it 9.
Come on, man.
Me
Don't act
doing
like
that
this
now.
is like the third Friday you asked this question.
Mhm.
No, I didn't know it was gonna be a regular though. I thought it was like a one-time excuse and shit.
Nah,
Wait
it's
a
too
minute.
many-
I'm looking.
I got
I don't see
negrophobia, man.
any-
I can't be around y'all too much.
I don't see any pre-recorded clips.
Any
What did
pre-recorded
you
clips?
didn't leave
Y'all,
nothing
with
for
all
us?
y'all don't need no pre-recorded clips.
Oh my
Man, come
God.
on, man.
You
can't
Oh
do
my
that,
goodness,
bro.
y'all can't be
DJ
serious.
When
Hey,
this
if y'all
man-
don't use the bathroom at 8:55, it's gonna be a problem.
Wow.
This ain't right, bro. These conditions.
I know. I deserve a half day off though. I was talking to everybody.
Deserve.
I
What do
deserve.
we deserve?
He was singing Tank earlier. He didn't even know the song.
I
You
damn
didn't,
sure
yeah.
did. I knew the lyric.
No, he didn't.
Deserve ain't the lyric.
A lyric.
You deserve
Hey, that's what I just said.
the song.
The song, though. The whole song.
Yeah. Okay. Like y'all know all the lyrics to the songs. Anyway, I hope y'all got to check out Classical Breakdown yesterday. It was pretty good.
I saw
see.
most of it. But I missed the part. Did you all not play Bustin' Loose? I put it
That
in the chat and everything.
came out in
1978. Chuck
Get outta
Brown,
here.
1970. I put it in the chat.
Wow,
for you. But I got left on red in the chat. That's all.
Oh wow! Look, Kim wasn't doing her homework. She's supposed to have known that one right there. I brought all
No one.
the.
Who knew that? Who knew that was
I
happening?
mean,
I knew that.
Yeah,
That's why I was
That
in
is
the
a hard
chat
song.
and play it.
yeah.
Is it? I feel like Bust the Loose. That one. I feel like.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
like one of the
Come out, please. Don't have me start doing a version of you in this thing. If you're gonna start disrespecting Chuck Brown, it's gonna be problems on this podcast.
Will we say that's the first recorded like go-go song, like on album?
It's not a go-go song.
Come
It's
on,
not.
man. That shit is
It's not.
go-go
It's
all
Chuck
day.
Brown in the soul.
Nah, it's not go-go.
It's
It's
not.
folk.
It's
It got a
funk
feel.
song.
It got a feel.
He heard the George Benson. I keep forgetting his track, but he heard a George Benson track that got into that pocket, and then he said, "You know what? I'm gonna do that." And then he said what Chuck was looking for, and I get this from Sister Dr. Tahira Mahdi. She said what Chuck said was, "I need something to compete with the this onslaught of DJs who could loop these multiple." Turntables and keep a party going uninterrupted. So he was like, we need to do that with the live band community. So he said, in between songs, go into this George Benson pocket, and there you have go-go.
Look at that. Look at that. Learn something new every day.
And shout out and shame on Dr. Mahdi at the same time, because she was supposed to have been doing a go-go show on this platform a long time ago. So I'm calling her out as I praise her and her work.
Let me thank her for not following through on that. But
that's messed. See.
How many go-go shows can you do? Is like one show? Like how long?
I mean, really, right?
All that history. I
mean, this 2 weeks,
playing.
3 weeks,
and keep playing.
That was longer than I thought. But okay.
3 weeks.
Wow.
One show.
You do that, and then you just start doing karaoke afterwards.
Yeah. We're going to take Kamau and Ear Doctor to the go-go and watch the change.
Whatever you do, don't give Kamala ox cord though. Just let him.
It's gonna be Biggie. Lord. It's gonna be Biggie. You already know.
He's gonna unplug the PA system at a go-go show and put Biggie on. We will never see Kamau again. I promise you that. And I will be stepping back too. I'll be like, I don't know this motherfucker.
Brooklyn in the house.
Nope.
Without a doubt.
Nope.
Hey, bust your ass.
Like, no, Brooklyn is not in this house. You unplug the damn PA system. It's about to be No.
I heard that's what happened to Cam.
You said what?
I heard that's what happened to Cam when he came to DC. That's how they got him. He was dissing the go-go.
Showed up in his pink Lambo. Talk about unplug the go-go. Turn that shit off.
Hold on. Do we have guests today?
No, people showed up for the drama. That's what it is. We are a petty ass platform. That's what this is.
Wait a minute. Is she on camera? Put her on now, B.
Oh, we got none of them.
Oh, facing everything. Oh, that's how important it was. Oh, camera.
I know.
Camera.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Are my eyes deceiving me? Shit.
What is this?
Oh shit!
Listen. If you're gonna do stuff like this, I can't. I couldn't do it behind the.
Damn.
I couldn't because I didn't want to be like, like folks would be like, "Oh, you ain't really address it." You know how people. Do. I was like, "All right, you know what? I'm gonna eat it." I don't think I can stay the whole time, but
oh man, you gotta get this.
I feel like some things need to be addressed.
Oh
damn! So I'm just saying.
we just can't have differences of opinion.
We can have differences of opinion, but you have to be honest. You have to be honest about your opinion in order for us to know that there's a disagreement. So you can't be living in your contradictions and pretending like you don't understand your own contradictions and then blocking people when they call you on your contradictions. Bruh.
He would step across the line. Habitually. He's a habitual line stepper.
Bro, this dude is wild, bro.
This
dude is wild, bro.
Welcome to Remix Morning Show, y'all. Boy. Looking like the Black Brady Bunch out here. So, what we doing now? We taking a break? We coming back with it, or we just gonna stay on? It's Freestyle Friday. It's whatever y'all want to do.
Take a break.
All right.
You got something prepared, don't you?
Yeah, give us a couple mixes,
man.
bro.
When don't I come prepared? All right. Right here, we're going to take a break right here on the Remix Morning Show with some more for you. Boom Bap Breakfast. Let's get it. Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and that was the Addams Family, in case you didn't know. So, boom. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com. Become a member over there and get this footage. That is rare. And yeah, you can go to the bottom of the screen. And as seen, go to blkliberationmedia.org. And you can donate there. Since we are demonetized, that is how we come up. And that is how we stay up so y'all can stay informed. All right, boom. So what I'm talking about community movement builder CMOS. Nah, I'm just playing. All right, what I'm going to talk about is one of the dope shows that comes on Black Liberation Media. And we're talking about root work, y'all. Just had a new episode talking to some black media sisters. And let's see what Thandizwe was talking about with them to find out about what they're doing now.
Tell us, what does media done responsibly do?
Yes, thank you so much, Tandy. First off, it's always a joy and a pleasure to have a conversation with you. And like you said, you've been with us since the begin, right?
Well, I didn't want to brag. I didn't want to brag. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Right, exactly. We, like you said, we were Mother's Day Radio, and we were an advocacy campaign at that point in time, really advocating for Black women and women of color who were being misrepresented, disrespected, filled with media filled with misogynoir is what we were really addressing at that point in time. And we were focused on youth, young people, understanding what you see in this music video is not necessarily who you are.
Man, that sounds like my type of sister right there. Working with the youth, that's what I do. Play some music and let them listen to it and be like, oh shit, that's what they saying? Same thing in the videos. Keep up the good work, sisters, and make sure y'all check out Root Work. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to it right here on the Remix Morning Show.
I'm curious, Air Doctor. What's the last song? What's the Ear Doctor?
Here you go.
You Air Doctor. Bro.
After he just said, what did you call Thandizwe?
Right. I know this guy. What's the last lyrics that you?
Root work.
Go
ahead. Don't let him interrupt you no more, Geechee. Go ahead.
No. Tell me, you said you be teaching young people lyrics and you be breaking it down. What's the last song you broke down for the people that you can remember?
The last one I broke down was Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty had a song and he was talking about getting in blood. So it was talking about going to the club and taking somebody's chain and getting it back in blood if, he'll shoot them up. So
how old was the kids now?
Middle school. Yeah, so they got to really be like, that's what he was saying? Like, yeah, that's what he's talking about. So then we talk about conflict resolution or something like that happens. Well, how do you, deal with it instead
I was a little worried there. Okay, that's better. Okay.
Come on, man. I'm smarter than I look, man. I do a great job with this youth, man. That's why I get extended contracts. That's why I keep getting more and more and more.
He's your boy. Who are you talking about?
Right, I'm like, isn't that your friend at the charter school?
No.
Wait. Slow down, man. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, y'all playing yourself right now. Bye.
Air Doctor, come back.
No,
don't be like that.
That was harsh.
That was messed up, y'all.
I know. For him,
y'all redirecting y'all energy at that man.
He had to leave like that.
He had to leave like that. I agree. He had to leave like that, though. Damn. I'm saying.
Thanks.
He chose violence.
In his God voice.
He chose violence.
Hey, before we move on, just real quick, I just want to say real quick, please support our Patreon. Big shout out to the patrons and a big thank you, because for the first time in my life, I feel like I took advantage of our patrons by sharing my story yesterday. It was therapy, and I feel like I was taking more than I was giving. So please, I appreciate you. And thank you all very much. And please sign up and go check out the video, because they stole my shit and I needed to get that off my chest. So I appreciate.
You want to give us a little bit more? Just a little
so
bit more,
so
bit more of a
there
teaser?
was the White House announced a set of new appointees to some boards, and one of them it was announced is a Morgan State faculty member. And I had an issue and an encounter that he presided over in a very funky way that resulted and aided in the what I was accusing of my school, plagiarism of my work. So it was, I'm not even going to front. It was like I said in the title, it was painful. It was another work related, trauma situation. And I was very happy to be able to have such a wonderful audience that I could therapeutically get it off my chest. So thank you all very much. Continued support to our Patreon. Appreciate you all very much.
And Curtis Duncan.
Curtis.
Morning. Sorry, technical difficulty.
You still
You
got
got,
technical
you got your mic on? You got your mic plugged up?
Yeah.
I think you still.
Oh.
I'm not. It's not.
Jared, was you crying yesterday on the video or something?
Was I crying? No.
Yeah, it sounded like,
No. However,
my bad.
However, Kamal's jokes aside, I would have been justified.
Oh.
But I've always felt like those, especially tears of anger, they're crocodile tears. And when you look up what crocodile tears actually mean, where that comes from, that's how I feel. Because that's when you see them watering, that means you about to be dinner. So yeah, it's anger. So that's how I felt. It's a rage, blood in my eye, God damn it. Yeah. It was a shady situation. So, like I said in the thing, relative.
Kamal's about to be so shady. And look at
Kamal, go ahead, man.
No, you choked.
Push the Brooklyn buttons, Kamal.
No, I just never, the crying and mad and angry. It's never, I've never.
It's not a good look.
I've never responded well to it. I've never either.
No, I get it. I get it.
And I think it's old school. Yeah, I've never. It's definitely me being old. Dudes crying have never really brought sympathy. It's more brought
anybody. To be honest, I'm worse than you.
Honest. You are worse. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm sexist on it. Yeah, I'm better now. I'm a little better now.
Anybody starts crying, and age regardless too. Any kids included, they start crying. I'm like, that don't work on me.
I used to tell my daughter that. I'd be like, "You gonna cry again?"
It makes me want to create more. It makes me want to make you cry some more. So I get it. I understand. I'm bad with it. So, but yes, I'm just saying, All
right, let's get to it. We got a debate. We're gonna be clean, no hair pulling, no nothing. Let's get to it and let's talk about it and let's be respectful. With that said,
what? How do you even intro it like that? Who even said it was going to be a debate? I just had a question. And also, Yaya Sinwar died. Could we start with that?
Ooh.
No, we can't
start to hear that. Yeah, absolutely.
You want to bring it up?
Yeah.
I got a Mondo Wise link.
Okay.
So we not
we gotta slap the map.
We need to slap the map.
We'll slap the map first.
I was trying to get my little story off real quick before we did something serious. So let's slap the map and then do something serious.
Yeah, I thought we was gonna wait for that, but let's go.
All right. Remix Morning Show. Thank everybody for coming here. We got the ear doctor, our overproducing producer. We got Sister Renee. We got Curtis. We got Erica. We got Jared. We got Geechee. We definitely got a full house. We got 6 folks in the house. We're going to start off with some news. We're going to get into a little discussion. We're going to get on some more news. We got a full show for y'all. So thank y'all for joining. We did get some great money yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I was pleased. You know what I'm saying? People dropped some change in the bucket, all that kind of good stuff. You could do it one more time. Just one more time. Just hit it one more time. blackliberationmedia.org, blkmedia.org. Please like, subscribe, do all those good things. All right, let's get on with our first story.
So Ricky, you want to lay it out what happened to Mr. Sinwar?
Yeah, as the headline says, Israel says it killed Yahya Sinwar as he was fighting the Israeli army. The Israeli army said on Thursday that Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has been murdered. So if you scroll down, I can read some of it. On Thursday, October 17th, the Israeli army...
I'm sorry. I was trying to find where you was at. My bad.
Yeah, but you said Jared. Why? I got nothing to do with this. I'm not doing this. It's not me.
I know you were starting that. Go ahead. My bad.
Underproducing.
On Thursday, October 17th, Israeli Army radio said that Israel had killed Hamas. What is all of that? Anyway.
My bad. Go ahead. Keep going.
Israel has killed Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar in combat in Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip. The military stated that it was investigating whether the body that it had found following a battle with Palestinian fighters was Sinwar, which had been sent for DNA testing. Later in the day, the Israeli army said that the collected samples matched the DNA record that Israel had on Sinwar from his years of imprisonment in Israeli custody. I just want to note he spent 22 years, I believe, in IOF custody. Israeli social media accounts began to circulate images of the body online before the news first broke. The photos depicted a man closely resembling Sinwar wearing a military vest and lying amidst a rubble of a building with a noticeable wound to the skull. He was also holding his AK-47. The Israeli army's initial statement claimed that the Israeli troops engaged 3 Palestinian fighters in battle in Rafah's Tal al-Sultan neighborhood on Wednesday night before killing them. After the Israeli soldiers inspected the bodies of the slain fighters, they reportedly noticed that one of them closely resembled the Hamas leader, which they allegedly identified by his teeth. So I could stop there. So a bit about Yahya Sinwar. He has been, I guess, the number one target since the Al Aqsa flood. They were saying that he single-handedly is responsible for it. And he has been the target. And I think the way that the IOF has been approaching targets is, attacking leaders is with some sort of misunderstanding that, you take down the leader, you take down the cause. Right. So you see that still happening, but Hezbollah is still going strong. There's still resistance fighters still going strong. So I guess really the question is what's going to happen with Hamas going forward. But I think there is, even in the discussions around what's been happening in terms of the leadership and the resistance being taken out by the IOF, there's a deep misunderstanding of martyrdom, I think, generally, because even with what happened with Hezbollah, like days before he had made his speech with the understanding that this would be eventual, like this is something that's eventually going to happen. And he was prepared for that. And then maybe days before this, Sinwar has also made statements like he's prepared to die on the battlefield. He'd much rather die from that than a heart attack or COVID or anything like that. So I think there's a deep misunderstanding of martyrdom in the way that they are celebrating having taken him out. But I also think that it's important. I think Stephen Miller had said in one of the press conferences or press statements that he said that diplomacy with Hamas was never the goal. They never intended to have diplomacy with Hamas. So they are just looking to, I guess, take them out, which is really not a logical thing. Because again, it's bigger than one person at this point. It's the resistance is a resistance movement. But just targeting, I think, people in that way, I'm really thinking through exactly how they're understanding this war. And also how the U.S. is responding to it. The statements from Kamala Harris and Biden, of course, saying, this is a great thing for the world that he has been assassinated. Just the response to it, with the understanding that they have no intention of doing diplomacy. Like even the ceasefire thing was not ever a real situation at any point, which many of us knew, but I think has been kind of cemented with this assassination and how they are discussing Hamas and the resistance moving forward.
Yeah. So I think what I was reading that's one of the flaws of the U.S. imperialism and media propaganda, where they will say that we take off the head and we this means we're gonna win, but I mean they killed the man before him that put him in space. And as you said, I think over a year ago, at one point he was saying, well, y'all know where I'm at. I will be walking in the streets. I'll walk to my house. And if you want to kill me and make me a martyr, then do so. But as you said, he's always in the streets. He's always, as you also see, in the battle. And I think they also were saying it wasn't like a hit. It was just a regular fight that, that was happening. And he just so happened to be fighting with them. So I think that's a definitely sign of his seriousness.
I got a quick video just of him sort of expressing his position on fighting in war and so forth. So I'll play it real quick.
مقتنعين قناعة يقينية بأنه نحن لا نريد الحرب ولا
We
نريد
don't want war, we
القتال
don't want fighting because it
لأنه
costs a lot.
كلفته باهظة وشعبنا احنا في غنى
Our people deserve peace.
عن مثل هذه المواجهات وهذه الحروب. احنا في فترات
Long
طويلة
periods of
لجأنا
time
إلى
we've tried
أساليب
peaceful
المقاومة
resistance.
الشعبية السلمية والمقاومة الشعبية. وللأسف الشديد جدا كنا
Unfortunately,
نعتقد
we
بأنه
expected
العالم
that the
والدول
international
العالم
community,
والشعوب الحرة
free people,
والمنظومات
and
الدولية
international
تقف إلى
organizations
جانب
stop the
شعبنا
occupation
وتكبح
from committing
الاحتلال
crimes and
وترتكب
massacring our people.
جرائم ومجازر ضد شعبنا. لكن للأسف الشديد
Unfortunately, the
جدا
world stood by and
وقف
watched
العالم
as the
متفرجا
occupation war
على
machine
آلة
killed
حرب
our young people.
جيش الاحتلال وهي تقتل أبنائنا.
We know that over 230 people were killed, many children were killed, and there's also investigations into potential war crimes that took place when Gaza was bombarded. But also we know that Hamas fired rockets into civilian areas in Israel and also killed people and children, not on the same scale as Israel, but that did happen. How do you respond to that? They are also allegations of war crimes.
إسرائيل التي تمتلك ترسانة
Israel,
الحرب
which possesses
الكبرى
a complete arsenal of
اللي
weaponry,
فيها أدق
state-of-the-art
الأسلحة
equipment,
وأعتى
and
الطائرات
aircraft,
تقتل أطفالنا
internationally,
ونسائنا بعمد
intentionally bombs
وتقصد
and kills our children
وهي
and women.
تريد ذلك.
And they do
لا
that on
يمكن أن
purpose.
يقارن بمن
You can't
يقاوم
compare that to
ويدافع عن
those who
حقه
resist and defend themselves with
بأسلحة
weapons that look
بسيطة.
primitive in
إحنا لو
comparison.
كان لدينا
We have
القدرة
the
على أن نضرب
capabilities to
صواريخ
launch
دقيقة
precision missiles
وموجهة
that target
تصل إلى
military
أهداف عسكرية
targets.
لما ضربنا هذه
We wouldn't
الصواريخ.
have used a rocket.
إحنا
We were
مضطرين
forced to
أن ندافع
defend
عن
our
شعبنا
people
بالوسائل
with what
المتاحة
we
لدينا.
have, and
هذا
this
ما
is
هو
what we
متاح
have.
لدينا. ماذا نستطيع أن
What are we
نفعل؟
supposed to
هل
do?
نرفع
Should we
الراية
raise the
البيضاء؟
white
نحن لا
flag?
نرفع
That's
الراية
not going to
البيضاء.
happen.
هل مطلوب
Because the world
منا أمام
expects us to be
العالم أن
well-behaved
نقتل
victims
وأن
while we're
نكون
getting
الضحية
killed,
الطيبة حسنة
for us
الأخلاق
to be slaughtered
التي
without making a
تقتل دون
noise?
أن يرتفع لها صوت؟ هذا غير ممكن
That's
بالمطلق.
impossible.
نحن
We've
قررنا
decided to
أن ندافع
defend
عن
our people
شعبنا
with
بما
whatever
أوتينا من
weapons we
قوة.
have. So that was sort of an interview from a few years ago from the leader. And I think it's important to note too, like the United States continually, the media, they don't want you to hear the words of these people because they want you to portray them as terrorists, as evil people, as people who are doing things for nefarious reasons, so that you don't have sympathy for the Palestinian cause. And so what you get continually is the propaganda that somehow Hamas is a terrorist, whereas again, as just was told, Hamas is fighting a liberation struggle. Hezbollah is fighting a liberation struggle. Folks are trying to remove imperialists from their land, settler colonialists from their land, people who are oppressing them, people are putting them into apartheid. And so if they fight back, if they struggle, and they struggle by any means necessary, folks are fools. Actually, they're doing the work of the propagandists. They're doing the work of the Western media when they try somehow to equate what Hamas has done to what the state of Israel and the United States are doing. Hamas is defending itself. It is fighting a struggle for liberation and a struggle for revolution in some ways, in a lot of ways. And so when people do not understand that, they'll buy the propaganda that's being handed to us that somehow a terrorist was killed or Hamas is out there trying to kill Israelis, so forth and so on for no good reason. When these people have to, again, shove them basically into an open air prison and told them to basically, well, we control the water, we control the food, we control access, you can't leave, we'll come in and arrest and bomb you anytime we want. And as he said, the expectation is that we do nothing while the international community does nothing.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's to come that the U.S. will say that their intelligence hunt him down and killed him, which again, in most of the reports right now, they said it was a fight and they actually noticed this person looking familiar as opposed to it was a targeted strike. And as Ricky was saying, that he was in prison at the age of 26 and he actually rose through leadership while in prison, while a political prisoner. So by the time he was released, in which they, I think it was a thousand people was released from the Palestinian prisoner exchange for one Israeli soldier. Yeah. So I think that says again a lot about the resistance and how much is bigger than one person. But yeah.
Has Hamas confirmed that he's?
Go ahead.
I'm just
Not
showing
yet.
here.
Oh, I was saying has some.
Sorry, I was just go ahead, Curtis. Go ahead.
Not yet.
Oh no, I was saying has Hamas confirmed his death?
I didn't see that yet.
The story I'm
Okay.
showing here says what it says is that Hamas is promising and to upgrade their response. So it's not this story, at least, is not from Reuters. It's not saying they're denying it, but they're or acknowledging that it's true. They're just saying, other than to say that they're going
I believe
to.
they confirmed it this morning. I think on the Telegram chats, there's some confirmation. Also, I wanted to note that video of Sinwar. He also talks about George Floyd in that interview.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
So someone asked for, and I think it's good. Like Kamala Harris responded to basically the assassination, the murder of the Hamas leader. So I'll play that real quick also.
Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, is dead, and justice has been served. And the United States, Israel, and the entire world are better off as a result. Sinwar was responsible for the killing of thousands of innocent people, including the victims of October 7th and hostages killed in Gaza. He had American blood on his hands. Today, I can only hope that the families of the victims of Hamas feel a sense and measure of relief. Sinwar was the mastermind of October 7th, the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
Wow.
A terrorist attack that killed 1,200 innocent people and included horrific sexual violence and more than 250 hostages taken into Gaza, including 7 Americans, living and deceased, who remain in captivity. A terrorist attack that triggered a devastating war in Gaza, a war that has led to unconscionable suffering of many innocent Palestinians and greater instability throughout the Middle East. In the past year, American special operations and intelligence personnel have worked closely with their Israeli counterparts to locate and track Sinwar and other Hamas leaders. And I commend their work. And I will say, to any terrorist who kills Americans, threatens the American people, or threatens our troops or our interests, know this: we will always bring you to justice. Today,
Says a terrorist. Says a terrorist who kill Americans with American policy.
I was just about to say, I guess it only matters if they not cops. You know, them terrorists allowed to kill as many Americans as they want. So
Clearly they are on the ground.
So wasn't it also that so not only the book that Sinwar wrote, but wasn't when they was practicing some of the maneuvers to, I guess, respond Israel surveillance, and they was like, oh, those people are not serious. Wasn't it? I read something like that. I'm not sure if any of y'all read that. But pretty much when
I
they was
understand what you're saying.
When they was preparing, when Palestine was preparing, or Hamas was preparing to respond to Israel. So when October 7th happened, they was already kind of like preparing for that, and Israel saw that, and they was like, oh, that's not serious. Like they're not really doing it, just rhetoric or whatever.
There were claims that there were indications.
Yeah.
There are claims that there were indications that Israel suspected something was going to happen. I guess there's claims that happened.
Yeah.
There seems to be multiple takes on what happened leading up to October 7th. And there are takes that Israel was aware something was going to happen. They allowed it to happen in order to allow them to respond to it. Mm-hmm. But the propaganda, people have to remember that everything that's being said today is all part of a propaganda campaign that has been laid out and planned out for over a decade, which is why you can always see the continual repetition of the same thing, right? Like they're always saying the same thing over years, no matter what event they're talking about, the response is always the same. Mm-hmm. And that, in 2000 and Jared and I kind of reviewed that documentary, The Occupation of the American Mind, which I highly recommend people watch so they can get some understanding of the background of a lot of this. There's 100 and something page document that was written out in 2009 that was guided by the guy who did the Miller Lite commercials. So this is all marketing. And that's why the lines are always the same. That's why even though that whole story about the sexual assault as war crimes has been debunked, she's still saying it. It's all part of the same farce that they want to continue to remind people that the problem is the Palestinians, the problem is Hamas. We're going to ignore the genocide. We're going to ignore the illegal occupation. We're going to ignore all the murders. We're going to ignore the sexual assault that's happening to Palestinians while they're in prison. We're going to ignore all of this, and we're just going to focus on the lines that have been fed to us since 2009 by the Miller Lite guy. That's the plan.
I think it's also important, I think, the words that she used, right? The emphasis on Americans, there's troops on the ground, but then even the partnership with the U.S. military intelligence over the past year and things like that. And then when you see what has developed with the pagers and all of these other things that clearly points to the U.S., especially with their connections with Taiwan and what they're trying to use Taiwan as. They're more or less telling on themselves, but I think you would actually have to care about what's occurring to pick apart what the language is and what they're saying, because they don't really say things outright directly, but they are letting you know there has been military intelligence. This is a partnership. His death does benefit the U.S. and Israel, and then the world, but more specifically U.S. and Israel. So interesting stuff.
Yeah. And then the regurgitation of the other claims around sexual violence is part of the attack. So again, there's no justification for these animals having done what they did. And on top of that, they killed Americans. And I'm they're thinking, who are the Americans? And then you're right. Yeah, right. And so it's American soldiers who are over there helping Israelis occupy Palestinians. They get to be claimed as targeted as Americans when they're killed. I mean, it's just wild. It's wild.
Yeah. So I mean, one thing I add too is obviously this. I do think these things are blows to the resistance, but I also agree that the resistance will continue. That knocking off one person in this particular way does not end the resistance to occupation, does not end the resistance to subtle colonialism, and so people have to understand. And I think that he gave the perfect answer. He's like, we don't have the weapons that have been built out by the United States to Israel. And again, as never is talked about in mainstream media, Israel has nuclear weapons, right? It's not a signatory to any nuclear weapon anti-proliferation treaty, but yet it is allowed to have nuclear weapons. It's never talked about within U.S. policy. The only thing you hear about in the media is the potential for Iran to potentially one day have the technology to have nuclear weapons, right? If you put together the stories between Iran supposedly wanting and trying to get nuclear weapons compared to Israel actually having them, it's like a 1 million to 1 scenario. If it's mentioned that Israel has nuclear weapons, it's mentioned offhandedly. And so again, this is a totally propagandized, I don't even would like to call it a war, but domination of Palestinian people by U.S. media, U.S. government. The U.S. population is totally propagandized around believing these lies that U.S. officials tell about what is happening on the ground in Palestine, the history of Palestine. And I like to use words like complicated and so forth, and it's not complicated. You have people who stole land, they set up a nation state, they push the people off their land, and those people are fighting back, and they have a right to resist and a right to fight back. Yeah.
So Curtis, if Jill Stein is a Zionist and a grifter for what she said, how then does one justify supporting Kamala Harris? Is that not grift and worse Zionism?
Supporting, like, are you referring to myself?
Like voting for her.
In general?
You or anyone who has voted for Kamala, like, or condemning the third parties and the Green Party, while not offering that level of condemnation for someone who just gave a comment that we just saw there, on top of all her other policy action.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to say, maybe preface the question differently, because it's one. I know clearly we want to talk to you about the post, to which I am now blocked and Renee is blocked, just for responding to it. But in that post, you talked specifically about Jill Stein and the campaign, and then last week I know that you were trying to make your argument, which I thought you should have been allowed to make it more clear, because I didn't really necessarily disagree with everything that you were saying. I just wasn't clear on what you were saying, because you didn't have the space to actually lay out your argument. So I thought that you probably could have came back, laid out your argument, and then I could make a decision whether or not I agreed or disagreed. But you were using words like grifter. You said she was a liberal Zionist and things like that. And then in your post, you spoke about the fallacy, I guess, of third parties, but more specifically Jill Stein. And you said a lot about Jill Stein, and then also said that Cornel West was a scammer. I would quote it verbatim, but again, blocked, so can't look it up. But I responded to you and said, okay, so you voted for Kamala, because you said all of that under a post about early voting, but you never really flat out said that you voted for Kamala. And your response to me was, I did. Is that a problem? So I said, well, I mean, if you convince yourself that it is not a problem and you already voted, like, what's done is done. There's not much I can say to you at this point. But I think what Jared is, at the point that Jared is making, if you have found ways to justify voting for Kamala, I mean, I guess the question is how? Because if the criticism about Jill being a liberal Zionist, and I mean, we can make that criticism. I'm not opposed to that criticism per se, because I do agree she could say things a lot stronger on Israel, and there are ways that she talks about Israel that does not that does kind of still give credence to it being a state, right? But I also think that she's very careful in what she says, and that's why it appears in that way, because she's still running a campaign. But we have this person who is flat out saying, without any discrepancies, no innuendos, she's very clearly, overtly saying Israel has a right to exist. We will continue to support that right. We will continue to fund Israel. So when you say, I will not vote for a third-party candidate who says this but does this, but I am going to vote for this candidate, and then call it harm reduction, I think that needs to be a discussion. Because I didn't come to you really to debate that. I was just curious. Like I said, I think it's interesting that if you voted for her, you just wouldn't say you voted for her. You made a very convoluted post, but you could have just said it. So I just was interested in why you would do all of that sort of roundabout way, to which you took a strong offense to, accused me of a lot of things that I did not do, because I thought that I came very sincerely, because, you know, I could have been a little more snarkier, and I think that you are a genuine person, so I didn't feel the need to come at you, rah, rah, and I didn't come at you. It was just like, oh, so you're voting for Kamala. Okay, got it. But your response to me was antagonistic in the sense that you were prepared for a fight. Like, you were prepared to defend that. So for me, it was like, well, if you were prepared to defend it, you could have just said I voted for her, and that would have been it. So I am curious, how do you make that decision? Like, how does that then become harm reduction for you? Like, how are you able to how do they say it? Hold two truths, Kamal? Ain't that what the people say? How do you hold that together?
Okay. So can we take a break? Because I need to charge, I don't know if we had a break yet. Yeah.
Yes, we can. And y'all make sure y'all stay around for the answer that Curtis has for y'all right here on no other than the Remix Morning. Do I got my music ready? Sure. Let's do a remix on a remix.
Funny how things have changed in my life now. Whether near or far, I wanna be where you are. And
All right, let me take you to a time and place. Let me take you back to 1979 with Michael Jackson, Off the Wall, one of the best albums of them all. The name of the song is called Working Day and Night. Yes, and that's mixed with a little bit of 2013. We are talking about Avant featuring Kiki Wyatt. And the name of this song is You and I off that album, Face the Music. All right, there you go. A nice little remix on the remix. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Go to patreon.com, become a member over there, get footage that's rare, and go to the bottom of the screen. And as I seen, hit blkliberationmedia.org and donate. Yes, with that said, let's go ahead and get back to our host with the most. All right, let's go.
My life is so incomplete without you.
So why did I see something on TikTok where a clip of somebody talking with claimed authority saying that Michael Jackson, in defense of Quincy Jones's daughter, beat up Tupac at some event?
What?
I've never heard that. I'm just saying, there's a thing on TikTok, dude.
Wait, you said TikTok? Like what?
Dude is talking like he's being interviewed, and he's like an older black man, like he's talking like with some authority, and he's sitting there saying, you know, Tupac said something, and Michael Jackson said, "That's my niece. You can't talk to my niece like that." And Pac says,
and he stole off on him.
He said Michael Jackson fucked him up. I said, I need.
Damn.
Come on.
Hey,
damn.
I think wasn't that a song? Shout out to Kamal, Air Doctor. Got me working day and night. That's what you're doing just now.
Oh wow.
Oh damn, no. See,
my bad.
Yeah, it's a song.
My bad. I mean, because my birthday, but never mind. Let's just keep going.
Oh yeah, happy belated birthday, Kichi.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. We good.
I mean, we were supposed to get drinks, but you kind of ignored me. But that's another story.
Wait, when?
He was in the meeting. He couldn't get drinks.
He was working day and night.
So you held him in the meeting, come out like you used. Never mind.
Yeah.
Gotta work. You want liberation? You gotta work for it.
Talk that shit. All right, that was a little remix on the remix. Catch y'all next week. Actually, you can catch me Sundays at 8 p.m. and rock out with me. And y'all have a great weekend, y'all.
So you going? You going?
Y'all didn't you just hear my outro?
Oh, my bad.
That was a weak ass outro, so we ain't believe it. Anyway, let's get back to the conversation.
Boy, Geechee be throwing darts, don't he?
No, I'm saying
missing the whole board. You know who you talking to now. I carry darts in the pocket.
DJ.
My bad, DJ.
It's a lot to bets. All right, Curtis, you want to give your response to the inquiry around your positioning?
Yeah. So I made the post, and yes, I mean, you mentioned that I blocked you and Erica.
Hey, America.
So I'm sorry, Renee and Erica. My apologies. So I don't follow you all on social media. So when I first saw the comments, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm like, okay, like, how'd you even see this? Was my first question. It was just like a random thought. And then there was like two comments from yourself and Renee, like back to back. So I'm like, okay, and from my vantage point, it seemed like I made my post and I felt like I wanted to explain why I made the decision I made. I wasn't comfortable necessarily just outright saying, at the time that I was going to vote for Kamala, but, I did do it, you could say in a roundabout way, but from my vantage point, I was just explaining it how I felt comfortable explaining it. So, yeah, I mean, that was just my way of explaining it that felt, authentic to me. So when I saw your comments, like, to me, they were antagonistic. So I'm like, well, okay, like, obviously you all disagree with my choice, so maybe I might have misread those comments. And if I did do that, I apologize. It was definitely not my intent, but I felt like once kind of like I engaged you all, because I both have tremendous respect for both of you all, because, I know you all, I follow a lot of your work. it just seemed like it was like real kind of like vote shaming and judgy. And then from my vantage point, when it got to the point of like, you know, where I was like, okay, hey, like we have nothing else to discuss. And I felt like some words were being in my mouth. That's when I was like, okay, like this is kind of going completely south. I'm not comfortable with this. Let me just, you know, like I tried to end the conversation, you know, but then there were still more comments posted. So, you know, but again, you know, it might've been a misunderstanding on my end. I'm open to that, you know, whatever. Now, as far as my thoughts on the overall election, I come from a vantage point of, you know, America being a white supremacist, capitalist, you know, like all the things that, you know, we agree are bad. I also believe that America is a two-party system, and it's a two-party system, unfortunately, as something that's kind of like baked into, you know, baked into at least American federal elections. So pretty much from my vantage point, like in this election, you know, there's only going to be two people that are going to win. It's either going to be Donald Trump or it's going to be Kamala Harris. That's who it's going to be. I live in a swing state. So, you know, like I feel like my vote counts. I know, I mean, like on the ballot, Jill Stein was on the ballot, Cornel West was on the ballot, and Claudia were on the ballot. And it is, you know, the votes for Claudia and Cornel may not be counted because I believe there was a lawsuit that the Democrats filed that pretty much, you know, may disqualify their votes. So, you know, whatever. Because I'm in a swing state, I'm like, okay, well, you know, my vote counts. So I really wanted to count for something, like, because there's only going to be two people that are going to win this election, from my vantage point. Also, from my research, I was able to gather, like, okay, you know, Jill Stein is taking a lot of support from Republicans. She, you know, there's an article I think that I had read where, you know, she had mentioned that, you know, and didn't see a problem with that. There was an article that I read where Jill Stein, I think, was working with some GOP operatives to get on the ballot in, I think, in Vermont and one of those other states. So so I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, like she's a spoiler candidate. You know, it makes sense. Like, okay, the Republicans are going to support her campaign to basically get Trump elected. So from my vantage point, I'm like, okay, like that's bullshit. Like, you know, if you're going to be, you know, have a very strong position of being anti-genocide, but you're taking support openly, taking support and accepting that support from like pro-genocidal forces, like that's, you know, again, in the effort to not get Trump elected, I had a problem with that. Another issue for me is that, like, from my vantage point, Kamala is going to win popular votes, but she may still lose the election because of white supremacy, because of the Electoral College, because of widespread voter suppression and voter intimidation. I just had a friend of mine here that told me that, oh yeah, I took myself and my mom to go vote here in Georgia, and there was, you know, and the only white people who were like at the actual polling precinct, there were some white people at the polling precinct, and they were like the only white people there. And I was like, oh yeah, that's classic voter intimidation. The Republicans are taking, you know, suburban white people, bringing them in to be poll watchers to like intimidate black people. And, you know, for some, you know, they may not be intimidated, but for many others, people who might have a felony record, what have you, they're going to be rightfully intimidated. So I'm coming from the vantage point of, okay, voter suppression, electronic voting machines, which are controlled by Republican-owned corporations, which always, you know, because, you know, essentially like these voting machines we have are controlled by corporations, and our, you know, our votes are like barcodes. And essentially what happens is that whenever, you know, these electronic voting machines are used, they are used, the election results always tilt in the favor of conservatives. So essentially, like Bush stole the election in 2000 with these devote machines. 2016, Trump stole the election. You know, I don't blame Jill Stein for, like, you know, Trump losing that election in 2016 because again,
I don't mean to interrupt, but we do have to say we're saying allegedly. We are not criticizing any elections anywhere in the world. So I just want to make sure our Google overlords are clear about that. This is not a critique of any election, because they will flag that and they do not like that. But we are not doing that. This is not that.
So allegedly, the electronic voting machines which also have a connection to H.L. Hunt. So, like, you know, and allegedly H.L. Hunt, this white supremacist conservative figure, has been heavily involved in, you know, in funding some of these electronic voting machines. I think the two major machines are, I can't think of the name of I can't think of the name of one of them right now. I can't think of, there's like two major vendors. Anywho, but when there's errors in these machines, you know, between the exit polling and, you know, and what the machine count says, it always tilts in the favor of conservatives. So from, you know, I mean, that's just my position. You know, again, I mean, I can elaborate further. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm very much interested in the point that you're making about Republicans, because again, it's your vote, your choice. Everybody makes their choices, right? And I'm not, like I said in those comments, you already voted. I'm not here to tell you like, what could I say? You can't unvote. So you've already made your, but the reasoning behind your voting, what I was more interested in is that you did not talk about Kamala at all. Your whole reasoning for voting was that you were staunchly against the third party, and that's how it appeared. So it was like, well, okay, so you voted for Kamala, was my response. Because if you're arguing, well, Jill Stein has Republican operatives, which, you know, name them. Who are they in the campaign? I'd like to know. Because I'm not saying that's not the case, but who are they? Because I can name the 200 plus Republicans that signed on to back Kamala. I can name at least two of them, Dick and Liz Cheney. Right? So if the issue is with Republicans signing on to covert or whatever you're trying to explain in terms of like misdirect or whatever they're doing, has not only just Republicans, neocon Republicans, warmongering Republicans. That have been doing this for year and year and year, and then Republicans who it's so much trying to Republicans who enlarge that DOD budget yearly, that increases the 1033, that affects your Atlanta, that affects Georgia, right? That the bipartisan deals that are happening. So I'm very curious. Like, even you don't necessarily, I don't care that you don't like the third party. My whole thing is, what are these arguments that you're making? I don't understand the argument. I'm not trying to tell you who you can and can't vote for. I just don't understand. Even what you were saying now, that is as convoluted as your post was. Only to say, I'm throwing my vote behind Kamala. But it's like, I don't really get why. Because all the reasons why you're saying that you wouldn't vote for Jill are not reasons that that's not happening in that campaign, in the Democratic Party campaign. And understanding that it's a duopoly in the context of Georgia being a swing state, you understand clearly that the Electoral College makes that decision either way. You're explaining that this shit is rigged either way. So I'm just curious of the decision making, or how you're, well, like that's what I said, you convinced yourself, but I think you took offense by the word convinced. But yeah, this sounds like you're trying to find validation to why you've done it. Like, you found the reasoning, you've done the research apparently, and found the reasons why you should, but I don't think those reasons really are justifiable. It's in terms of how you have depicted Jill Stein and that party.
So before you answer, Curtis, let Renee jump in, because we're going to pile on. So let Renee pile on right now. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Listen, people got to do what they got to do. I think I take offense to this whole you were vote shaming. I didn't even bring up the fact that you voted for Kamala Harris. I literally was like, how are you writing a whole post where you're talking about Jill Stein getting support from Republicans when Kamala also has support from Republicans? And I called it wild, because it's a wild contradiction and it needed to be called wild. And I feel like everything that you're saying is loaded with contradiction. Every complaint that you have made is equally complaining. Like, you can make the same complaints about Kamala Harris. If you feel like it's irrelevant, all of those things, if you feel like her being a Zionist is irrelevant, if you feel like her supporting Israel as a state is irrelevant, if you feel like her GOP support is irrelevant, if you feel like all those things are irrelevant, then that's okay, because you have to make the choice for yourself. But I feel like to be so big and bold about how important those things are with another candidate and then simply say, oh, but I'm going to ignore it and vote for this candidate, and then tell me I'm vote shaming and then block me because you're not comfortable with addressing your own contradictions. I'm not really sure how that works. And to be clear, when you're on Instagram and you post something, it is public information. So why you would be surprised that someone who is a host on a channel with multiple people would read your posts, because we're all in a shared space. So it feels to me, honestly, like I feel like this is all nonsense. Like I feel like you did what you wanted to do, right? Because you wanted to vote for Kamala Harris. I feel like you already knew you were going to vote for Kamala Harris when you came on last week and did your whole diatribe about Jill Stein being and I'm not even going to vote for Jill Stein. So for me, this is not about, and I'm Green Party and I'm not voting for Jill Stein. So this is not even about trying to, defend her in any way or any of those things. But I just think to sit in a public space and discuss someone being a Zionist and how, bothered you are that she didn't just outright say Israel shouldn't be a state, like to put all of those things on blast and then vote for the person who is literally worse in all of those aspects and not have, honestly, like the moral fortitude to just be like, listen, look, this is how I feel about the third party, but you know what? I live in Georgia and I want to vote for Kamala Harris and that's what I'm going to do. Like at least have like the moral fortitude to do that. Like, I just feel like your whole argument is weak, to be honest. Like, you wanted to vote for Kamala, and that's cool. Like, do what you want to do, but then don't be mad at people who call you on your contradictions, because you are a Black man on a station that is called Black Liberation Media. And you sat on here and you told our audience how ridiculous Jill Stein was, and then you went and you voted for a person who is literally worse, and then didn't at least have the courtesy to just be like, look, I did what I did and I do what I do. And then you block people for it. That's whack.
So my one only addition is, and I think it's similar. It's like, I think it's one thing to say, almost like what you were saying earlier, that you think in some ways you think Trump is more dangerous. And so therefore you want Kamala in, because again, like you said, two-party system, one of them is going to win. I agree with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. That is what you should do, but that's a rational argument to me, even if I disagree with it. And so I do think, like last week when you came on and said, you didn't say any of that last week. You came on and talked about Jill Stein and her Zionist ties as the reason why you would not support and vote for her. And then at the same, and again, yeah, I mean, it's public platform. Everybody gets critique and whatever like that. Just your week, I guess. Welcome to the game. So I think the problem becomes, in terms of having the discussion, is that you said that last week. But then you go ahead and vote for Kamala, and you didn't give an argument last week that you were going to support her because of the fear that Trump was a greater evil. Your argument was that Jill Stein was a Zionist and supported Zionism, supported the two-state solution, therefore supported the genocide of Palestinians. And then you go vote for somebody who is right now in charge with the president of directing a genocide that is happening, right? So again, to me, it's about the argument that was made for the rationalization of the vote that you took. Again, if you made one, I may disagree with that argument, but at least that argument makes more sense to me, as in, like the harm reduction thing you're saying now. So that's my two here split. It's just like, well, wait a minute. Last week you talked about the whole Zionist thing, and that was your major impediment for who Jill Stein was and why she doesn't deserve to be supported. So yeah, that's my thing.
Go ahead, PG.
So I think I don't know if it was on a video or what you said, if it was on a video or the post, but I think the argument around not confusing voting with like political power and the exercising of political power is one thing, and you have to get it done in the streets. But I'm curious what you think about the role of electoral politics And if one of the roles is for political education, and the other role is to, as Nips and Lennon talk about, count your forces to see how people oriented to policy that produces the material conditions that we want to see. I'm just curious what you think functionally your argument and your choice has done to educate people politically.
Okay. All right. So, okay, it's a lot to respond. A lot to respond. Jared, did you want to add anything before I respond?
I mean, my only issue that I would add is I'm almost only sort of triggered by the exclusive condemnation of left politics. That's what it's this hostility towards the left without that same level of energy for those carrying out all the horrors in the world. So it's like much as what has been said. Though I would disagree, I can understand a rational argument around why someone would say we have to vote for Kamala. But to do it while being so condemnatory of the left is really where my only problem is.
Yeah, okay. So last week, in regards to last week, Kamal brought up an article stating that, by Tom Hartman saying that basically he was saying that I think Jill Stein was a grifter. And then Geechee interjected and was like, oh, Curtis thinks Jill Stein's a grifter. And if I say anything correct, you all can correct me. From my recollection, he's like, Curtis thinks, I was like, well, yeah, I was like, yeah, she is. And, and I referenced the investigation that the Federal Election Committee did in 2016 about her taking money for a vote recount and then not using that money, for those stated purposes. And she was found guilty of that. So I was coming from the vantage point of essentially agreeing with the article and stating and laying out the reason why I consider Jill Stein to be, to be problematic in that she's saying that she's anti-genocide, but yet on her own website, it says that she supports the existence of the state of Israel. I was not trying to, condemn the left. I was more so just critiquing, offering my criticism of Jill Stein, because, from my vantage point, what I'm seeing going on with Jill Stein is that she is, from my perspective, she's exploiting the Palestinian cause for that reason. She's coming off as, she tells people don't vote for genocide. So, when I hear people say stuff like that, but then they actually support, they're actually like a Zionist, I have a big problem with that. And then when I found out before she was trying to get a Palestinian VP, and I think Nora Arakat, if I mispronounce her name, my apologies. She was trying to get her the VP. I think Nora declined to be the VP, but then she got the brother Butch Ware.
But Nora declined because she wanted to put a position out that
that they would drop from the race completely.
Yeah, and support
the Democrats
Kamala.
Claimed that they were going to.
No, okay, I was just my overall point was that from my vantage point, there's not an attempt. Essentially, Jill Stein is obviously trying to get the Arab vote in Michigan. So she's trying to get the Arab vote in Michigan. So then when I look at some of the connections, and people, from my research of Republican operatives helping out the Stein campaign, and then her wish to punish Democrats.
Can you do me a favor? Can you stop saying that? Can you stop saying
that? That needs to be.
He accepted a pro bono attorney who also helped Republicans. You are so convoluted, and it's like you're just spewing MSNBC, and I'm not even sure what's going on right now. Can you point out please point out where in her militarization we just had her website out. I want you to point out where she says that there needs to be a two-state solution and where she says that Israel should exist. Because you said it says that on her website. So please point that out. That's her candidate. That's her foreign policy. Point it out, please.
Geechee, I put up the link last week where
this is her website. This is her platform. This is her website. Point it out because you said it. So point it out
multiple times.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
No, well,
while you look for that,
wait a minute. I think Jill, y'all tell me if as far as I know, Jill Stein is on the record of not saying that she does not, that she supports Israel's right to exist or support Israel in that way. Not that she is, she may even be a two-stater.
She hasn't said, I don't think she said.
I put up the link in the chat.
Yeah, this is the link we had up last week and it didn't show, but I'll put it up right now.
Okay.
Okay, and where does it say here that Israel should exist?
Okay, so right there, point number 1. It says support peace, freedom, dignity, equality, and security for all people.
Where does it say Israel should exist? Where does it say Israel should exist?
What does this mean?
Huh?
What does this mean?
Hold on.
Wait a minute, John. Let him finish his statement. Yeah, let him finish his statement.
I mean, if you're not letting me, I'm saying like,
let me finish. Yeah.
Let me finish. Thank you. Support freedom, dignity, and equality and security for all people in Palestine and Israel. So again, from my vantage point, when she says that she wants security for Israel, that, from my vantage point, that means that she supports the idea of the existence of a Jewish state. Now, in reference to ending Israeli occupation and apartheid, a lot of people refer to occupation starting as 1967. When they had the, I think the 6-Day War, what have you. I hear a lot of like liberal Zionists talk about, Israel's occupying Palestinian land. They don't go back to 1948 when when the first Nakba happened. And when the Zionists came in and kicked all the Palestinians off their land. So when I hear someone say that, again, they say they're an anti-Zionist Jew, which she literally said, again, Butch Ware said that for her on the Breakfast Club interview. She nodded her head in agreement. She is not, by that statement, anti-Zionist Jew. She does not say that Israel has no right to exist. But she says she wants security for everybody.
You're saying two different things.
Hold on.
How is he still worse than Kamala? I don't.
Right, because this is my.
I acknowledge this. So again,
you acknowledge that Kamala is a genocider. You acknowledge that Kamala is participating in the genocide of Palestinians as we speak. Not theoretically, but practically and purposefully. Yes? You acknowledge that she supports the right of Israel to exist. Kamala does.
Absolutely.
You acknowledge that she is part of giving weaponry, money, cover, propaganda to. So why are you not saying any of those things, but you're only focusing in on what you say is the contradictions of Jill Stein, who's not in power, but yet the very person who is now in power and who you voted to remain in power, in fact, to have a step up in power, is doing the very things that you're saying that you're opposed to, that you're against. She's literally committing genocide. So is your argument not against her? I mean, not against Jill Stein, but again, is your argument just practically speaking, you think Trump would be a worse genocider than Kamala is, and so therefore you'd rather have her commit a little genocide as opposed to Trump commit a bigger genocide? So what is your practical argument? Because it's really not an argument about Jill Stein, except the fact that you're almost using her as a rationale for why you voted for Kamala, but you're using arguments that make, again, in my opinion, they're not rational arguments, as in you're saying you're opposed to genocide, or somebody who supports genocide. You're opposed to Israel in terms of its existence and so forth, but you're voting for the person who is on 10 squares. That's exactly where she is. So so that contradiction is the contradiction that I'm having a problem with. And then I'm sorry.
Just real quick. If Curtis, if you don't mind, real quick, I just want to point out that your version of what point one is not what point one says. So I want you to be very cautious and clear with your statements when you make them in public places. When you say on her website, she says that she supports Israel's right to exist, then you need to point to where it says that. You cannot point to something that abstractly means that to you. Those are two different things. People can make their own determinations on what anything means, right? And for me, reading her entirety of the statement, when you say, I want to end the occupation, and you're like, this whole, people are talking about 67. Jill Stein never talks about 67. She goes back to the first Nakba. In fact, she goes back beyond the first Nakba and talks about all of the things that actually resulted in the paperwork, the dismissal of Palestinians when they made all these decisions. Like, so I just want you to be clear, because it's important that if you are going to stand on stage and make statements in an attempt to defend your position on something, that you do not do those things in a way that makes you look honestly dishonest. Her website does not say Israel has a right to exist, period. It does not say that.
My bad.
I mean, that's what I was getting at. Like, there's a difference between an insinuation of a thing or how you interpret a thing, and Kamala Harris saying it full out. She is full out saying it. We don't have to guess. We don't have to try to figure out what does she mean. We know what she means. She's full out saying it. So I'm trying to understand, how do you have such a hard line? Because it does seem like you're swinging left to move right and justifying it.
So I think we just talked about Sinwar, and it, based off of what he said in terms of about the Zionist Jews are the problem. That statement that you read, he would probably say too, in terms of having a peaceful relationship with them, but also ending the occupation and all those other things. But it doesn't say accepting this two-state or whatever else you kind of ad-lib it to say. And I do think that's important, because last week we actually said that. Like, before you sent that link, I had the link up while you were speaking, and it didn't say that. And then I was like, where's the link? And then you sent me the link. It was the same link. And like, we did that I think that was last week, but that they didn't say that. Now, if it insinuates that, that's, I don't know if that's up for interpretation, how we read and comprehend what's being read. But I don't know about that part. But I really want to hear the question, though. Again, if voting is a method of political education and a method to count the support for revolutionary ideals, I'm just curious, what is the education message that you feel like you achieve with this, or even with the argument?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to go. So and again, I don't have the actual. So yeah, I haven't seen what you stated, Renee, about her criticizing, the Nakba. And again, I had seen something before about, her wanting Israel, I think, to be a multiracial democracy, again, but allegedly, I'll say that allegedly, and I do not have proof of that, so I'm not going to, stand on that. To go back to Kamal's point, I do think that on the issue of Palestine, that Trump would be worse. I think Trump would be worse on a lot of issues as well, too. Again, which, is another reason for my vote or my decision. And again, I'm coming from the vantage point of Kamala is going to do what any politician is going to do. Like, essentially, if you're going to be in office, you're going to be, at least in America, you're going to be like problematic. You're going to be, in favor of settler colonialism, of capitalism, of all these different things, which I am against. But again, it's like I'm in a system that, even though I might not support in all the tenets, I'm still going, I still make a choice, because for a long time I didn't vote. I was like, fuck the system. The system is whack. It's corrupted. America's a corporatocracy. I didn't vote, and I caught hell for that. A lot of my friends caught hell, like, oh, Curtis, you don't vote, da 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 da. And then I made a decision in 2020 to start getting engaged in the electoral process. I come from the vantage point of that there is, on many issues, a lesser two evils. I know that's a debatable topic, but from my vantage point, that is something that, I find to be true. So yes, I do come from the vantage point that Trump would be worse. Now, again, I know that's debatable. And as far as political education, I was, and again, I can read the post, if you all don't mind. So, because I know that has come up. So I will read my exact post. I put up a post. It was myself smiling with my wife.
You want me to pull up the post?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, also, by the way, do you like Olay's spin? Instead of the less of two evil, fighting the weaker enemy, would you call Democrats Party the weaker enemy?
Supporting them is not fighting them. And I just want to throw in real quick that, because Curtis, Jill is also a politician. So why should she be asked to call for the erasure of a state singularly, supporting all others, while you call harm reduction supporting the party currently and historically carrying out or supporting genocide?
Wait, where is
so? Yeah, so again, I mean, I feel like I'm essentially like my criticism of as I mentioned last week, like when you say, from my vantage point, when you say you're against genocide, and you tell people that, oh, don't vote for genocide, so like right then and there, you're trying to, like, from my vantage point, you're trying to moralize, you're trying to make it seem like that there's ethical politicians out here. You can make ethical consumption.
Curtis, you did that.
I consider to be,
You did
which
that.
I
Curtis.
consider to be bullshit. So,
but Curtis, that's the argument. That's the frame of which you made this argument, that there is such a thing as an ethical way to be
I did not. You interpreted that. I didn't say that.
I didn't. Okay, so I misinterpreted.
I didn't say
that.
What
you're saying, because when you make the juxtaposition about what Jill Stein is doing in her campaign,
hold it up, because I want to read it.
You can read your thing, but what I just want to point out that that's exactly what you're doing, though. You are making a moral argument around it.
I'm not making a moral. I'm not making a moral. I mean, you can pull up the post. It's not. I'm not coming from it. And to me, that's what I had a problem with of what some of the third party candidates have been doing. They've been trying to. Like to Kamal's point, I agree that Kamala is like on the issue. And he, Kamal's a lawyer, so he knows how to engage people. He was like, well, he asked me last week, well, you do agree that Jill Stein's policies are better? I was like, hell yeah. Like, as far as the policies, like, totally agree. The policies of PSL, like, I agree that they're better. But, from my vantage point, like those people aren't going to become president. So, but I had a problem with, like, this whole idea that I've been seeing a lot lately of people trying to, I understand where it's coming from and I empathize with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, empathize with, like, of Palestinian suffering and people being generally upset. You know what I'm saying? Like, like when October 7th happened, like, I was upset. Like, I was in bed, I was upset because I knew what was about to happen to the Palestinians.
Hold on, read the post so we can pull this down.
Yeah, okay.
Read the post.
All right, so I voted yesterday in Georgia, and this black man right here will never vote for Trump. My reason for putting that is, I guess, to counter some of the narratives about black men going over to Trump. I also did not vote for Trump-backed and GOP-funded. Hold on, I didn't finish.
Pull it down, DT. Slow it down.
For GOP-funded third-party candidates who are exploiting the Palestinian cause to get Trump elected. My reason for stating that was because, again, like Cornel West, and I could put it up. In his case, he literally said, like, in a political article, I think last year, that he supports Israel's right to defend themselves. Like, he openly stated that.
I'm sorry to keep interrupted. Please just finish reading the post so we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll read the whole thing.
Jared don't like it. He don't like your smile. So keep going.
I mean, it's just.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead. He hating on your smile.
Supposedly anti-genocide, but are accepting support from pro-genocide GOP. Third-party tickets are a scam, given the unfortunate reality of a two-party system, which is foundation to America, given the winner-take-all system that it has. hence why one or two parties has won the election since 1856. Ending genocide and Black liberation was not on the ballot, never will be. That will require radical organizing and structural dismantling. You don't vote for things, you don't vote so things could get better, but to prevent things from getting worse. With that being said, I encourage you all to prevent shit from getting worse. Harm reduction in politics is real.
Not you ad-libbing. But you see why my response was, so you voted for Kamala. Yes. I mean, that was convoluted. I mean, there's a bunch of things, but I am interested. You never did address Kamal's question directly, and I think it has a lot to do with what you put in that post. Like I think really you're not really speaking to. Again, you're trying to, I don't know, convince yourself or us or or validate this, but you're not really making yourself clear, I think, on the choices that you made in terms of why, because you did make a moral argument in terms of, well, Jill Stein says she's pro-Palestinian, but she didn't do this, and if she's not really pro-Palestinian, then I can't really vote for her. That is a moral argument around the Palestinians, and you're saying, well, that's what Jill Stein and all these other these Palestinian causes are doing. And I just want to know, regardless of how we feel about Cornel West or Jill Stein, they have long since been a part of these movements. Now, have they been holding the correct line all the time? Probably not. But they didn't just pop up October 7th. So this is not some disingenuous thing to win an election that they both are clear on that they're probably not going to win. So we're looking at the objectives of why they're running. What is the intent of their running? And you have been saying clearly, with no real definitive proof, that they are running with the intention of helping Trump win so that they can break down or take down the Democratic Party. And for all the reasons that you have justified not voting for Jill Stein, it's all the things that Kamala Harris and this administration is currently doing. Working with Republicans, supporting genocide, funding genocide, and none of which there's no innuendos about it. You don't have to guess. It's not some secret thing that they're doing in the background. They are upfront doing it. So when you call that harm reduction, which is what I said was a complete misinterpretation of what that even is, because the way people use harm reduction in politics, that's not even what harm reduction is. It has nothing to do with the political realm. So the fact that people have introduced it into politics comes from a nonprofit model that introduced that word so that you can vote for Biden and you can vote for Kamala and call this shit harm reduction because lesser evils was not working anymore. So they keep finding new ways to make the same argument that this will be better for you. When this duopoly has shown time and time again that they work together. So if your issue is with them working with Republicans, then how do you justify it? You have never, ever, in any point of time that you have responded, been clear on that justification. You've just been circling back to spacious arguments. You've been circling back to speculations. You've been circling back to things that are not even on her website. So for me, you whatever choice you made, you can't unvote, right? But if somebody's asking you, or when I said, so you voted for Kamala, and your response is, yes, is that a problem or is something wrong with that? And I respond to that, and then you call me antagonistic when you poach the response. You ask me if there was something wrong with that, and I respond, and you haven't been able to defend it. And that's all I'm really looking for is the why, the reasoning.
And before you respond, I don't really care about the why, to be honest. Like, as I've said multiple times, people do what they do. What I care about is the disingenuous comments and the fact that you clearly don't read anything. And it's bizarre to me that you would present an argument without taking the time to do the due diligence of reading so you can at least support your argument. This is the most recent statement that is on Jill Stein's platform. It's on her page. It is her press release. She wrote this a year in response to what happened to October 7th. She clearly notes 1948 in this. She clearly notes that she would stop the genocide. She clearly notes that she wants Israel to go along with the decision by the international community, which we all know is to remove yourselves from Palestine. So, this thing that you are doing is absurd. And I'm trying to, I know you probably think that I'm harsh. I mean, you wrote and you were like, oh, this is harsh. So I'm sure you're not loving my tone, and I'm sure other people aren't loving my tone, but I'm frustrated with you because you should know better. You are an educated man. You should know better than to get on a screen and to speak without doing your due diligence. And that is what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you as an adult who puts yourself in a public place in which you are going to be quoted, in which you are likely to be clipped, in which you are likely to be repeated, that you take the time to do the due diligence to be sure that you even understand your argument when you go to make it. Because thus far, I'll say this again, I am not voting for Jill Stein, but so much of what you said is not representative of facts. And I see that you threw in there exactly what I told you were going to throw in there, an argument that she accepted pro bono support from attorneys who also supported Republicans. I'm clear on that. I'm very clear on that because I've already read all of those arguments, right? But I'm also telling you, you need to do a better job. You need to do a better job. And honestly, you pulling up the Wall Street Journal to support your argument that Republicans are like, come on, Curtis, can you do better? You got to do better, brother. Seriously. This is absurd.
Not to mention there's a whole paid campaign on TikTok right now from the Democratic Party against Jill Stein, making these same arguments, the same points and stuff like this. A lot of this is speculative, a lot of this is spacious, and the burden is on you, Curtis, to provide the proof.
So we're speeding down the interstate really fast before we hit the exit. Voting shaman. I would love for us to kind of like deal with shaming. My bad, Air Doctor. Shout out, Air Doctor. Jared, start with your thoughts as a former president.
No, I mean,
running president.
I won't lie that some of Curtis, what I hear in Curtis, your approach, I can't help but take a little bit personally, having run on the Green Party ticket at one point. The idea that I would have been consciously wanting to work for Republicans to destroy the Democrats as the purpose for engaging in those politics is it's flawed. There's a problem with that. I got a problem with that. Similarly with the articles that the from the Wall Street Journal or Forbes, the argument that Republicans come in to support a Green Party candidate is not the same as Green Party candidates or Green parties only existing to take Republican money to destroy Democrats. You're running a public electoral campaign. The idea that anybody, particularly in a third party, would walk away from resources to advance their cause doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't advocate unless under certain circumstances, maybe some specific donors or whatever, I would have taken whoever's money in the effort of running the campaign I was involved in some years ago. So I don't, and it would not have been obviously to support them or their politics or to work on their behalf. That's the nature of the game that you seem to give so much leeway to when defending the Democratic Party, but not to anyone else. And then in terms of vote shaming, the only voter shaming I actually see occur for those of us who will not vote for the Democratic nominee. Those of us who are left of lesser of evil voting, we're the ones who are targeted for vote shaming and blamed for the downfall of democracy, in fact, that's so to have someone, and again, from my point of view and the way I'm interpreting even my comrades on screen, what they're saying, the bigger issue is this condemnation of the left in process of voting for the current actors of genocide, carrying out genocide. That's it. The vote shaming only occurs to those left of lesser evil voting.
Okay, now the lawyer. What you say, the lawyer?
Oh, I'm still stuck on my original point. I think there's an argument. I think there is a logical argument to be made that you're going to vote for Kamala over Trump. I think you can make that argument. I think that's a logical argument. And again, I may disagree with it, but I think you could bring up the idea of like there's going to be two people. There's only one or two folks who have an actual chance. You think there's pressure that could be put on the Democratic Party. Again, I may not agree with that, but but at least there's logic to me. What I disagree is to again come on last week and say all these things about who Jill Stein is. And again, my reading of Jill Stein is that she is a two-state solutionist person. When she says the UN resolution of 48 was dividing up Palestine into two states. So maybe she believes that, or maybe she believes there's one big state that the Europeans who move there get to participate in the big state. So she ain't a revolutionary on the topic. I understand that also, but no, but you shake your head like that. But then again, you vote for. If you use the argument that she is a problem because she's not sincere on her views on Palestine, but then you vote for the person who is doing the actual destruction of Palestine and Palestinians, that's my contradiction. It's not that, again, if you use another argument, we could have another debate, which for me is clear, precise, it makes sense. We may disagree, but that's one thing. If you don't make that argument and you make the argument of like, oh, she's actually lying about her position on Palestine, and so she's secretly a Zionist and supports genocide, but then you vote for the actual genocider and the actual supporter of Zionism, that's for me a huge contradiction that you should be called out for. You should have to defend that. I don't think it's defendable, right? I don't think you can say that you're voting for one, or you're not voting. You don't support Jill Stein because she's all these things related to being pro-Israel, but you vote for the most pro-Israel candidate that you can find, which is Kamala Harris, who's not backed off one iota on her stance of supporting this genocide, of supporting the murdering of Palestinian revolutionaries, of supporting the killing of Palestinian kids, adults, everybody can catch it. And she's not said one thing that's made me believe for a second that she cares about Palestinian lives. So that's my huge contradiction with the whole discussion. Another argument is fair for me. And we may disagree, but at least it's on some terms that I would consider to be logical. This is like an illogical argument, and it is moralizing when last week you stuck to some very hard left principles. I was just like, you real left. Like I'm not even that left, right? I was like, all right, that's real left. That's real principle. But then you actually went out and did something that seemed to be contradictory to those principles you were putting forth for why you were voting for it. For me, that's the huge contradiction.
But Kamal, do you want to be a voting shaman? Kamal, or not?
Oh, I believe in vote shaming. Hell yeah. No. You can, because again, it's a political debate. You can't come on, right? And all of us can catch it. You can't come on talking about black people and black things and black this and black that. And I love black people, black activism, organizing, whatever. All of us are answerable for our decisions. For again, a discussion which is in this particular case, I don't think it's as a quote unquote hard debate per se, as in we have serious disagreements, contradictions, critiques, criticisms, and I think they need to get worked through, and I think they need to be discussed. I think it's the perfect platform to discuss them and work them through. Again, if in my instance, I'm not trying to throw Curtis away, but I am pointing out what I think are very real serious inconsistencies, contradictions, not principled, not standing by the principles in which you said you did. So I think that's all fair game for all of us, right? To have those discussions and hopefully try to do it in a way which is respectful and draws conclusions for people to do better or do different. But we're all open to that. Nobody can say that they support Black liberation. They're out here fighting for Black liberation and then not, have to stand and talk about their views on Black liberation. So I'm all for the vote shaming. Yeah.
So
wait,
Erica,
real quick. I just want to.
Are you moderating this?
No, I just wanted to hear the answers. I'm just trying to hear the answers.
This is not actually about your point, Curtis. It's really not. People are now trying to voice police me in the chat, right? I'm too harsh. I'm too whatever. Like people are dying People are literally dying every single day. And they're not just dying in Palestine. They're dying in Haiti. They're dying in the Congo. They're dying in this country. There are people dying every day. And the least we can do on a platform like this is expect that people will speak after they have done the reading, after they have done the research, after they can bring an argument that is concise and clear and backed up with real information that they can share, right? Please stop with this is not how you do it. Kamal does it better. I don't give a shit how Kamal does anything. And I love Kamal, all right? I'm not Kamal. I'm not required.
You saying that I did that?
This is to people in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I'm not required to be calm and peaceful and a lady. Fuck all that.
Kamal, you calm and peaceful?
People are dying. Please stop.
Okay. All right. So here, Geechee, did you want to add anything before I make my argument? Because I appreciate some of the critiques and okay. Do you want to add anything before I make my
No, I really just wanted to hear everybody's thought on vote shaming. And because I do acknowledge that I don't know if you accuse both Erica and Renee, but it seemed like you accused one of them of vote shaming. So I just wanted to hear.
Okay, so my position is that I do think that there is a lesser of two evils just overall when it comes to you, at least in this election. I do think that. I do think on the issue of Palestine and many more issues that Trump is going to be worse. With that, I have read that there are people within the GOP Trump camp, allegedly, who are helping, not allegedly helping Cornel West and Jill Stein peel away votes from the Democratic, from Kamala Harris to get Trump elected. So respectfully, and people say I don't do the research, like this is something that I have been researching. So, you may not agree with the research, and I put up articles that reference that. And again, we can debate, whether this, but so from my vantage point, I am coming from a place of there is a lesser of two evils. Some people don't agree with that, but that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the vantage point of that oftentimes because of structural racism, that people like whether it be Al Gore or Clinton, and again, they're problematic. I'm not necessarily saying I endorse them, I support them. They oftentimes lose because of these structural racist issues, such as the Electoral College, allegedly the electronic voting machines, and widespread voter suppression. So yes, I do believe that Trump will be more dangerous, on many different topics. And yes, so that's my position. I do believe in, that there's lesser two evils. And I also think that because we live in a two-party system, what happens is that, and Democrats do it as well too. Democrats and Republicans oftentimes will fund spoiler candidates to peel away votes. This is something that, allegedly they did in 2020 with Kanye West. Democrats, have supported the Constitution Party, to help, peel away votes for Trump. So, and from my vantage point, I just, again, like when a politician comes up here and says that, that people, should not support genocide. They should not, and they claim to be the anti-genocide candidate. Genocide is a very specific word. It doesn't just refer to the mass killing of people. It refers to ethnic cleansing. It refers to sterilizations, taking people away from the home. It's like a whole process. So when I see, candidates like Jill Stein and like Cornel West saying they're anti-genocide, and then when I hear, like, for example, when I see allegedly Cornel West say in the Political article says that he supports Israel's right to exist, I'm like, okay, that's a contradiction. When I go on Jill Stein's website and say that she, from my vantage point, from my analysis, that she supports the idea of there being a two-state solution, which will mean that she supports settler colonialism in Palestine. She supports the thefts by Jewish settlers of Palestinian land. That is a contradiction. On top of the fact that if she's getting support as a GOP spoiler, I have a problem with that. Now, as far as
but
not
you don't have
Kamala,
a problem with the person committing
Yeah.
genocide.
And
Why do you keep bringing that part back up? Why do you keep bringing that back up?
Yeah, we gotta.
I'm trying to make my points. I'm getting cut off. So I'm saying, like, I was literally about to make that point. I was about to make that point. I recognize that Kamala is a Zionist, a white supremacist. She's a cop. She's all these terrible things. I recognize that.
You voted.
I'm not defending that. I'm not caping for that. Again, I just made the point that I'm coming from a place of lesser of two evils. So I'm acknowledging that Kamala is very bad. I'm acknowledging that she is evil. And I just said that, again, America is a two-party system because of the winner-take-all approach, which is foundational to America. Again, as I stated in my post, goes back, to 1856. So I'm coming from a vantage point of Kamala supports genocide, so Trump supports genocide. I recognize that. I recognize that. But from my vantage point, I feel as though that Kamala would be the less harmful candidate. And that's my position, and again, people may disagree with that, and that's fine. But that's where I'm coming from. And to Geechee's point, as far as political education, my point in making that post was to let people know, was to essentially, I'm coming from the vantage point of Trump is more dangerous. That's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from that Trump is more dangerous, particularly to Black people and to a lot of the causes that I feel like are relevant, whether it be the environment, climate change, a whole host of other issues, reproductive rights, etc. So I'm coming. So that's the vantage point I'm coming from.
But you could make all of those arguments without condemning the left. That's all I'm saying.
That was not your argument on IG. If you had written, I believe in the lesser evil, therefore I voted for Kamala Harris, then I would have just been like, all right, we're just not on the same page. I would have left you alone. But you went into a whole diatribe about this is what's wrong with Jill Stein and the Republican support and the GOP backed and blah 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 blah. Bruh, there is no Kamala Harris's list of supporters that are Republicans and GOP and warmongers and war crime. It's absurd. So I don't understand. And that was my question to you was, do you just not know that Kamala Harris has GOP supporters? Because I don't understand how this was your argument. And this is why.
I'm aware of that. But oftentimes what I've been seeing is that when I have pointed out that Jill Stein and Cornel West are allegedly, through articles I have put up, that they are GOP spoilers, that people are I'm like, okay, is there truth to that? Can it be true that Kamala
you're not even answering my question, brother. Can you go back to my question?
Is it true? Is it true that Kamala is being backed by the Republicans? I do acknowledge that, over 200 of them, and that also that Republicans are backing, the candidacies of Jill Stein and Cornel West in order to peel away votes from Kamala.
What do you mean by backing?
From my bench,
what do you
both
mean
things
by
can
backing?
be true.
What do you mean
by
backing?
That wasn't me condemning the left. That was more so essentially I feel like that Jill Stein and Cornel West are manipulating, because they're not as left as you are. They're not, because they're actually.
But Curtis, you condemned the Green Party and the PSL and third parties for doing the work of the GOP. That is literally condemning.
I didn't condemn
you. Said it. It's in the post. Okay.
No. I know. No.
You said all third parties. You said GOP and third parties. I mean, Green Party and third parties. You mentioned Cornel West. But my point is, you leave it. You can't, Curtis. Please acknowledge that you have to acknowledge that it reads as a condemnation of the left. Because you're saying the Green Party and Cornel West, you're saying they only exist to front for Republicans. And that is a complete disrespect to every leftward effort from every form, from the Green Party to PSL to Malcolm's call for Black political party. Everybody is just wiped off the table with that approach. So that's what has felt disingenuous in your approach, and what has always bothered me by this very Roland Martin, Greg Carr-esque type of approach that is like, we have to not only vote for Kamala, but we have to be beating down on those to our left. We have to punish them for daring to represent a politics left of the Democratic Party. I think there are other, as has been said eloquently by everybody, I think there are other ways to do that if ultimately you want to just as you say, adhere to the lesser of evils and vote for the Democrats. You can do it without all the hostility to the left. That's all.
And Kichi, I know you want to get to your Jay-Z story. Y'all went over last week. I don't know why you in a rush now. All of a sudden, we got to end at 10 o'clock.
Oh, my bad. I thought everybody else. My bad.
Slow down, because you said you got to go.
I did, but I'm skipping. I thought I was
She had to go like 3 hours ago.
I did.
Then Renee got mad and she texted. She canceled all the other shit.
I did. I canceled the thing I was going to do. So listen, I dropped the definition of genocide, and I purposely picked the definition that I picked so that nobody could say that I was being unfair. So I picked the definition from the. Can you pull it up real quick? Oh, I guess I could do it, right? I don't know how to do that. Somebody else do it.
Wait, where is it?
It's in the private chat.
Musa said they voting for that. Shut up. No.
It's not.
Go ahead. It is.
Or is it?
It is.
Right here. I got it.
Yes.
I got it.
So I want to make clear that genocide has nothing to do with land, because you made mention of land in there, and I don't know where that came from. But again, brother, you need to read, and you need to be clear and distinct and articulate when you are speaking about these things, because you are giving bad information to the audience. Genocide has nothing to do with land. So read that for me so that everybody can be clear on what genocide is actually about, because Israel stealing the land has nothing to do with genocide. Genocide is about people. It is not about
land. The legal term genocide refers to certain acts committed with the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. Genocide is an international crime according to the Convention on Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in 1948. The acts that constitute genocide fall into 5 categories: killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. There used to be somewhere in here, I remember somewhere in the full explanation of this is in the UN's definition is reference to interfering with the cultural development of a group as well. Because I remember using this to talk about how corporations through hip hop are committing genocide against Black people in the United States. So that all of that. But yes, that's
and it's safe to say like the land part is a precursor to it, as opposed to it being.
But you don't have to steal the land to commit a genocide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's my point. You don't have to steal the land to commit a genocide.
You don't even have to be in the same place.
Exactly. So I just wanted to be clear, and I really and you know, somebody was like, he's never going to get on the side. You're welcome on any Saturday. I have no issue with you personally. I don't agree with your stance on this, but I'm happy to hash it out. But it is so important to me as a person who really, like, my whole purpose with all of the things that I've done with this channel is to try and provide information to people. That's my whole purpose. I spend hours looking stuff up. I just sent out another article yesterday about Kamala's advisors that took me 3 weeks to write because I felt so deep in the weeds when I found out some of the things that I found out. Important, so important to give good information, to be clear, to read, to be sure that you understand what you're telling people before you tell it to them. You cannot be on these public spaces saying things and be completely unable to support anything, you know, some of the things that you're saying by having actual verifiable research. And I don't mean pulling up the Washington Post and Like, you need to really read. You need to read stuff, man. It's so important. It's so important, because I don't, like, this should not be this conversation. Like, we should be able to just have a conversation about why we disagree with the whole lefty evil thing. But because your argument back is so filled with things that are just not factual, right? It's hard to have that argument and discussion. And I mean, you could do that, but brother, I pulled up multiple things that proved you wrong. So you can do that if you want to, but I literally proved you wrong. And, you know, so for you to be dismissive of that, like, that's on you. But then that's also on you in the future to recognize that people can't take you seriously if you can't support your arguments.
I was shrugging my shoulders because I was referring to the links that I put up around the GOP being a spoiler candidate. That's, you know, I was referring to, like, you dismissing that. As far as the whole ethnic cleansing, again, as far as the whole ethnic cleansing thing, you know, again, like, to me, you know, from, you know, okay, so I will concede. Okay, according to the definition of the UN, ethnic cleansing or stealing of land is not genocide. Okay, so I will concede that. I apologize. You know, I apologize for alluding to that or suggesting that. So, you know, my apologies for that. Yeah, my apologies for that. As far as my post, just to be clear, Jared, what I reference is that I reference that third-party tickets, and again, third-party tickets can be a lot of different parties. I was saying that I consider them to be. I was giving a statement, you know, of, you know, and again, I mean, on Instagram, you can't really post links, you know, so I mean, I'll consider posting links, or, you know, or maybe writing articles, something like that, to kind of maybe give more in-depth analysis. But I was stating that third-party tickets, because of the two-party system, in my vantage point, are a scam, because, like, they're not, like, I mean, we have a two-party system, so it's like the third-party tickets oftentimes are not really able in this two-party system to really accomplish a lot. So that's what I was referencing in that. But I was very specific in not stating, I didn't state PSL was funded by, you know, was like a GOP spoiler. I said what I said about Cornel West and Jill Stein, but just to be clear, I was not trying to, you know, I mean, that was definitely not.
But calling third parties a scam because of an established, hostile, ignoble two-party system is part of what conveys a hostility to the left that should be directed at this fact that there is a two-party system at all that produces the results that we're struggling against. So to put the onus on the people trying to subvert that system, to circumvent, to bring challenge to that system, and to point to them as the scam, as opposed to the people who benefit from this two-party arrangement as the scammers while producing these results, is, I think, that's why it comes off as a hostility to the left. And then when you come back behind that with a vote for Kamala, and as everyone has pointed out, without a similar critique, with that same energy, all around this lesser of evil claim, it just comes across as a very reactionary, conservative, anti-left stance, which is, again, I think the biggest flaw of all, even beyond the actual vote for Kamala, which is, I think, bad enough.
And I think it exposes your vantage point as being very limited, because you're speaking from a very limited space. And I think even when we're talking, because even how you're addressing just because I think at this point we're kind of on loop in terms of how you're explaining yourself, but even talking about the voter polls and the machines and things like that, like, you're speaking to a very specific thing, right? But I don't think you've addressed the larger contradictions that you're choosing to punch left and move right. Like, that is a choice that you're making, because either, like, you have acknowledged what Kamala Harris has done and what she's doing and what this administration is moving. Kamala Harris is not a left person. She's not a progressive. She's a right-wing candidate. Right. So the idea that you would insinuate what you have in your post about third parties, you are in fact punching left and moving right, and then justifying it. But with all of these other things, because whether or not, like Renee said, she's not voting, I'm not sold on the Stein, certainly not sold on that Butch Ware, tell you that. But I think have legitimate arguments. Like I can tell you why I'm not sold on the butchware, and I can tell you why I'm not, and I would have the things to back it up. It wouldn't be something spacious. It wouldn't be something, you know. So when you say they have these Republicans working, who are they? I know a bunch of people in that campaign. I can list at least 6 people working on the campaign. None of them are Republican. Is it somebody that I missed? Who are they? Because people can fund, people can donate. Is that the same as working for? Like, what does that mean that they're being backed by? Kamala Harris had Republicans right now writing policy that's going up on that platform. Is that what is happening on the Jill Stein ticket? Or are they like, so what do we mean when we say they're backing? There's no clarity in that. So there's spacious claims that you're making so that you can punch left and justify moving right. And that for me was the broader issue, because if you're going to stand on it, if you're going to vote for Kamala, for all the reasons that you said that you needed to vote for Kamala, because you believe in a lesser evil and you believe this is harm reduction, you didn't name any of that. You attacked the third party candidates off break. So that was all what my criticism really was. And then the fact that you didn't even want to engage, and I probably was the less hostile to you in that whole thing, because you made it seem like I came to you when you asked me if something's wrong. I mean, once you ask me a question, I'm gonna answer it. And you didn't like the response, and you shut it down. And I never responded after that. And then found out I was blocked. And not just me, child, he blocked Liberation to Read It, Hood Communist, and Bad Baltimore. All affiliate pages got blocked. And it's like
it wasn't all pages got blocked.
I'll show you right now.
It wasn't all.
You're not gonna worry about that. You're not gonna worry about the block.
To have the struggle. Yeah, I was willing to have the struggle because Curtis, we met. We chopped it up in May when I was in Atlanta. I know the type of person you are in politics. I'm not coming at you antagonistically, but I do have questions, and this is not more so like a disagreement. I think this is far beyond a disagreement. Like, I think there's ideological questions here on the table. That, you know, there's a bunch of things that I think that go beyond a disagreement, that I simply don't agree with your choice. I am questioning your choice. I am full out questioning. And whether or not that comes across as vote shaming, I mean, I can't be responsible for that, how you receive that. But I am very much questioning how the hell do you make sense of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean,
go ahead. But no, I just on some level, I want to get off the circle, the circle, the loop we're stuck in.
Yeah.
So I want to propose that a way of doing that, Curtis, would be just in the future, if you start off your critiques of third party voting with, despite the heroism of people like Jared Ball. And because she's in the chat so faithfully, Angela Walker, because of the heroics of people like these, despite those heroics, I still feel a need to vote for Kamala. I think if you did that, we would be good to go.
I think there'd be no debate. Yeah, I think
there'd be at least not. You know, we could get to another level. I think just do that. Just start. Thanks to Angela and Jared. And despite their for all you've done, and despite that, I'm still going to. No, in all seriousness, I first of all, I do appreciate. First of all, a shout out to us in this platform for being here to have these discussions that are happening all over the place, that without this kind of context, and that's really it. I just wanted to claim my heroism, and then, you know, see if that pushes us off the.
Curtis says, not a stain on me. He ain't got no stain on him. Bobbing and weaving.
Well,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. He might need to swing past the infirmary real quick, get some ice. Some anti-inflammation. Inflammatories. Get some blueberries for that antioxidants. Shout out to your doctor. I know he would want to throw up some sort of.
Do you want to try to do your Jay-Z story real quick, and then we out?
I mean, if y'all got time today, I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it, son. It sounds like everybody's ready for it. Look, Renee's here until 11:30. She here.
Spin the record, Kamal. Spin that shit.
Oh, I don't know what that shit is.
Here he goes again. Here he goes again. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it.
I'll put it in the link.
Pull it out. You pull it up.
First of all, Jared wanted to talk about it.
Phrasing. My bad. I mean, see, I keep trying to elevate.
Phrasing.
I keep trying to elevate, and you all drag me. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway,
it was a violation.
So,
it was wild.
So Jared actually got some even better stories about the all of the leaking of emails.
That's
and
why
all those
Geechee
other
can't
things. What was that? Was that some nasty stuff? Oops.
No. I hope you don't have your other browser open. I was just talking about the delay. Lord.
But anyway, so there's a extended contract, or the contract with Jay-Z or Rock Nation in the Super Bowl. So as you see, they're having these arguments around who should be performing and all these other things. But this article was kind of getting more into like the details of the contract. So they're responsible for helping organizations get the $370 million in grants. I think Rock Nation them got something around 25 million over 5 years. And so what I started doing was looking into the organizations that's supposedly getting the grants. And then Anquan Bolden and somebody else who's ex NFL players for the Baltimore Ravens, they was kind of important in putting together this platform after Colin Kaepernick was taking the knee. But let me go to this 1 second.
So just like the standard process, somebody takes a more militant action, and then the liberals and the bourgeoisie come in and take all the credit and offer up something lesser. Although I always gotta give some respect to Anquan Bolden, because of that. I still remember I watched that play where he got his jaw broke and still held on to the pass. That was pretty incredible. But that does not justify these
phrasing.
Hey man, really? Even that? Damn.
Phrasing.
My bad. I'm just gonna sit quietly for a while.
And got 25 million over like 5 million over 25 years or some shit. Was that it?
I don't know if it's. I think they're sharing it. I think they're sharing that. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's low, B. I need more money to sell out. I can't do 25. What am I doing with 25 million over 25 or 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, but I think there's got to be some. There's whatever
Marketing,
deals and
promotion,
arrangements. There's that, but there's also, I'm sure, other arrangements and ties, because when that other article I sent that was really about the Washington Commanders' former owner, it really it shows you all of the incestuous overlaps that exist between all of these spaces. They're all using the same lawyers. They're in the same business deals. They're all over the place. So whatever he's getting on paper here, he's probably getting 10 times that in other ways, or looking to get something down the line, including, I thought he was moving towards becoming, wasn't he another minority owner, pun intended, on some ownership deal? And remember, that's partially what he said when he was sitting in that press conference with Roger Goodell. Jay-Z said in response to Kaepernick, we're past kneeling. Right. Now we're trying to move to ownership. So this is all that.
So go
ahead.
Because the 25 million is set for Rock Nation, but that's not
correct.
Jay-Z independently. So is Jay-Z independently getting something, and then the 25 million is getting split through Rock Nation, or that's all accumulative?
That's all that's on the paper. That's all that they're saying on paper. They haven't announced anything separate for Jay-Z, but I
think Desiree Perez, I think she's probably doing most of the work. And Jay-Z.
And again, and that history, folks remember. That's
yeah.
That's her. Don't she allegedly?
Yeah. That's how she got off. There's
a lot of allegedlys with her, there's a lot going on.
But speaking of the feds, though, like, so some of the organizations that's getting money, like for instance, this Center for Police and Equity, so they work with communities and inside of public safety to make law enforcement less racist and deadly.
And this is where the 375 million in grants is going.
Yeah, to places like these. Boys and Girls Club, and yeah, and I mean, I don't. Interestingly, I don't see Until Freedom.
Can you move your? Yeah, thanks.
That's my highlight. I don't see Until Freedom with what's that girl name? Tamika Mallory and them. So that's pretty interesting. But then you pull something up where
what's Operation Hope though? Isn't that a Jesse Jackson offshoot?
No, that's your boy, the financial literacy dude. John Hope Bryant.
Oh, that's him. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh my God. Yeah, this is a bunch of this is just this is nasty. This is nasty work. What did Skip say? Diabolical. This is diabolical
work.
Yeah, and it's always all these people that they just throw out in the forefront. Like, look at these people, look at the black people, look at what the black people are doing for the black people. And ain't none of them people doing one thing for black people. Not one thing. Like, it's mind-boggling. Y'all, seriously. I can't. The little group of black people that met in Long Island with Cory Booker and Kamala Harris in 2019 because they were going to form a pact. Now they signing off on support documents and meeting on Wall Street. Like, what are these people doing? I don't understand.
Kamala, you've been to Martha's Vineyard, right?
I've never gotten to go to Martha's Vineyard.
Really?
You didn't organize in Martha's Vineyard?
I've not gotten one fucking conference invite for Martha's Vineyard.
They put you on those planes that kill Aaliyah, though. That's a little.
Where's Kill Aaliyah? Where's that at?
The plane, that little plane that killed Aaliyah. That's how you got to get to.
Shit. That's how you got to get there. Oh, I never go then. Yeah.
I thought, man, I interviewed Hortense Spillers.
You can take a ferry or boat.
You can take the ferry to Martha's
Vineyard. She said she was going. I tried to invite myself and never heard back.
Every organizer I used to work
trying.
with, every organizer who say they radical has been to Martha's Vineyard. I am like the only one who's not been able to go.
I took a day trip.
You took a day trip?
I got on a boat at 6 o'clock in the morning and took a day trip.
And is it worth it?
Family.
Is it
No, it's not.
It's not.
But you can tell people you did.
But we did go to the alpaca farm, which was cool.
Was the drinks good though?
No, I didn't do none of that. We went to the alpaca farm. We went to the reserve, like we went to the arboretum and saw the trees. And we did all the family oriented.
Yeah, remind me never to travel with Renee.
No, don't travel with me. I'm not. Yeah,
but you skipped the drinks. I'd have been over there.
We were back on the ferry. We were back on the ferry before the drinks could be flowing. So yeah, I'm not. I'm not fun like that. Sorry. I was also on there reading.
Oh my God.
He said, oh my God.
I know. Wow. My bad,
Martha's Vineyard reading a book.
My bad,
Make
y'all.
the person to travel and really read them.
You take them on the plane just to fool yourself.
Read a book.
You're gonna read something. Yeah, you're gonna read something.
So Jared, if Jay-Z is able to pull off convincing the NFL to have a black commissioner, what is that going to
do? Then it's really over. They would never do that because Jay-Z would that.
Why wouldn't they have a black commissioner at this stage?
I think at this stage they will. They'll pull that off, and then we're gonna be like,
just one. I mean, he'll go fall down in some scandal they'll create for him, or maybe he'll have a real scandal. Because again, when black folks get in these positions, they think they can steal
too
like
much
white
money
people.
for no work. They said Goodell was making $40 million a year. You can't. They're never. Them 30 white owners are never signing off on that.
$40 million to do that job?
Yeah, it may be more. It's probably more. But yeah, that's it. He just sit and yeah, that's it. So now they're not letting him do that. They barely let there be a black players rep.
You do the entertainment stuff. You stay over there and you pick the entertainers.
That's I'm with Hiram with that. Yeah, they would never do that. Hell no. Can you see Jerry Jones and his son up there, that crypt keeper sitting up there talking about?
Remember, he only showed up at the demonstration to keep the black folks out of school. He was just like watching. He wasn't there.
But you don't think they can do that to cover up like the the leaked emails and stuff? Because they're in hot water now in terms of their
the leaked email. Look, they
40 million to do that though.
They got rid of Dan Snyder. They got rid of Gruden. They don't care about all of that. They'll switch out an owner if necessary for another white one. But they're never. This is a cabal. This is is a conquered market. They're not giving that shit up for nothing. They don't even let fellow rich whites start another league. They didn't even let Donald Trump start another league.
Mm-hmm. I used to watch,
and they all vote for him. The XFL and all that.
No, not the XFL. That's McMahon. The XFL.
That was McMahon.
Oh,
Donald Trump was
USFL.
Yeah, that was Herschel Walker.
That's right.
When I didn't know no better, and I thought Herschel Walker was black, was real black.
I used to think Herschel Walker was real black too. I used to watch him. I tried to model my exercise routine after when I read in Sports Illustrated that he did 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 sit-ups every day. I was like, I can do that.
And he swam every day.
I can't do that.
He did water workouts all day.
I said I could do that, and then I can't do that. Very quickly realized that's not happening. He's crazy. But I also blame. First of all, I should have known because I also, as a former Washington football team fan, I used to blame. I mean, the only reason they had their brief winning cycle in modern history was because of him. And so I used to blame him. Yeah, because it was that the Minnesota Vikings traded him to Dallas took him from Dallas and gave Dallas all the draft picks that became Aikman, the triplets that they used to, Michael, whatever, and whatever, the other one. All of them. They got all of them from him and a couple defenders and a couple offensive linemen that created that dynasty that I lamented for so long. That was all Herschel Walker's fault. And then he went to Minnesota and had one play. His first play ran like 100-yard touchdown and then disappeared.
He ain't no Barry Sanders, but
Barry's the GOAT. Barry's the GOAT. So, all right, I'm happy to keep going on that, but I feel like the steam is running out on that.
Yeah, I got
okay. All right.
I'm sorry for the letdown. I was like, I gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah, no. All right, everybody. First of all, thanks to everybody who showed up today. Everybody on screen. Shout out to Sister Erica for the run sheet that we barely made use of, at least today, but thank you very much. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Please do make sure you like, share, subscribe, support the Patreon on your way out, and come back tomorrow for Saturdays with Renee and Warrior Class, and Sundays with the Ear Doctor. And then I'll be back Monday morning with Tume Gant is going to be back with me Monday morning. So, and then a whole week of remixes starts all over again.
True.
All right, peace if you're willing to fight for it. Like Fred Hampton used to say. We'll catch you next time right here on the Remix Morning Show. Peace, everybody.
Peace, everybody.
Yes.
Yes, darker than blue.